lots of things that are keeping me waiting, but I do believe when the time is right, the madam will place herself in my, in my face. And then I'll also present that madam to the team for further scrutiny.
Further scrutiny. I like your choice of words. Further scrutiny, because Uncle Ruben is on top when it comes to that. And he told us beauty does not lie in the eyes of the beholder. So you need to keep that in mind. But anyway, Chantal, good morning.
Good morning, Olive. You look dashing in the yellow.
Thank you.
And I only wished that I could get a better shot of Sonko. Sonko has a very nice show this morning. He decided to show up. I think when they said dress up and show up, even if you don't want to show up, he really decided to show up this morning. He has a very nice show.
Also, the other thing that worries me, you know what they say about dressing up and a job? They say, dress for the job you want. So are you sure you still want this job?
He might be dressing up for another.
I still want the job. I still want the job. I still want the job.
Okay. That's what we are talking about. Exactly that. But anyway, let me check on Robert. How are you?
I'm fine. You see, I'm speechless. That yellow, you look gorgeous.
Thank you, Robert.
Very beautiful and smart.
Thank you.
Please, madam, don't take offense. I'm just appreciating smartness and beauty. Well, to Sonko, please do not rush. Do not rush going into commitment. I've always told people a failed relationship is better than a failed marriage. So that level of commitment is not something you should rush. Actually, in my opinion, I think you're still young for that. You know, first enjoy life, and then by the time you get to where we are, there's so much that you can let go and not involve yourself in because you had a good time.
How about this, Robert? At his age, you should be building towards something.
Well, and you have to start.
I think the right age for a man to finally settle down should be at least when you hit 35.
But the president the other time said we are supposed to get married.
Thank you very much. The president.
You see the rate at which
the
rate at which we're having broken marriages, because I'm speaking from experience as a senior citizen, in one way or the other. One thing I've learned is there's certain things that come with age. There's certain things that you're ready for, and better to do them when you've hit a certain age.
I'd love to disagree with you, but I'm looking at the clock and Olive may not be in agreement.
Well, Chirabo, I don't think marriages are breaking these days because of the age people got married at.
Very true.
Many people are celebrating silver jubilees and golden jubilees, yet they got married sometimes at 18.
You're talking of camels that have passed through the eye of a needle.
And everyone is going to pass through the eye of the needle. That's what marriage does to you.
Those are the heroes. Those are the couples we are celebrating.
And tomorrow it could be you. It could be Sonko, me. There is always a starting point. Anyway, this morning, I don't want you to burst this bubble, Sonko. You look very nice. And if you tell me, Olive, tugende, me, I'm ready. We just go. But anyway,
entourage is ready.
Tugende kashari. Anyway, speaking about today's events and of course what happened over the last 24 hours, the International War Crimes Division in Kampala has set 13th August 2024 to deliver a judgment in the case against former Lord's Resistance Army Commander Thomas Koleo, who faces over 76 charges. So we'll be bringing you updates regarding that. But for now, Robert Chirabo takes us through the first story of our local news.
Well, we'll begin with a one-week cabinet ministers, permanent secretaries and NRM SEC members retreat that kicked off yesterday at the Leadership Institute in Kyankwanzi. The retreat, happening for the first time, was organized by Public Service. During the retreat, President Museveni, accompanied by the First Lady and Minister for Education and Sports, spent Monday evening talking about how he is directly going to fight corruption after the original government officials like permanent secretaries, chief administrative officers, and sub-county chiefs have failed. He said there is no one who cannot be arrested if evidence is provided, and there should be no bail for corruption allegations. In her opening remarks, the Vice President Jessica Alupo said cabinet ministers should accept positive and negative criticism. The Prime Minister, Robina Nabbanja, told the President that she is willing to support President Museveni's fight against corruption. Cabinet ministers and top government officials welcomed the idea of organizing the retreat since issues like corruption, land grabbing, and inefficiencies in government officials are rampant.
Now moving on, the International War Crimes Division in Kampala has set 13th August 2024 to deliver judgment in the case against former Lord's Resistance Army Commander Thomas Kwoyelo. Kwoyelo faces 78 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity. Before this date, court has scheduled 22nd July 2024 for prosecution and defense to present their submissions. On 23rd July 2024, court assessors will sum up the case, and on 2nd August 2024, they will render their opinion. This schedule was confirmed in a document signed by the Deputy Registrar, Her Worship Hatanga Hati Juliet. The judges delivering the ruling include Justice Michael Erubu, Stephen Mubiru, Dankani Gasagwa, and Justice Andrew Bashaija.
And away from court, the Immigration Office intensified its operation against foreign nationals illegally working in Uganda. Over the weekend, at least 135 foreigners were arrested, while 200 were cautioned and directed to update their facilities. The office of the deputy spokesperson called upon Ugandans who applied for Saudi Arabia visas but changed their minds to pick their passports. The spread of information depicting the plight of Ugandans working in Arab countries has prompted many to concentrate on earning a living at home. In a period of 1 month, the Immigration Office has registered at least 500 abandoned passports at different embassies. These passports contain expired and cancelled visas. The office is calling upon bearers to collect them. In another operation by the Immigration Office, 135 foreign nationals were arrested for working in Uganda illegally. Meanwhile, police flying squad in Kampala Metropolitan arrested 13 suspects over car robberies. These are accused of stealing vehicles and altering their number plates. In Moroto District, police recovered an SMG rifle with 14 rounds of ammunition, and 4 suspects were arrested. It is believed that these have been using the firearm to engage in criminalities like extortion and cattle stealing.
In other news, former FDC President Dr. Kizza Besigye has said the talk on corruption has implicated and led to the arrest of some individuals. He also praised Spire Sentongo's exhibitions on potholes and Parliament Uganda, which led to the arrest of some implicated in corruption, causing suspected corrupt individuals to panic. He called this a commendable effort. He explains that fighting corruption requires a fair and accountable system with checks and balances, a system of detection and deterrence. He reiterates that the starting point to solving corruption is ensuring that people are having a voice, emphasizing that it is not about leadership. Meanwhile, Besigye emphasized that the post-independent leaders emphasize solving issues of ignorance, poverty and disease, which have not been addressed well in the 38 years of the NRM government. Besigye, while also disagreed with the census exercise that has just been concluded and the preliminary results, saying Ugandan statistics are corrupt. Well, with that, we end our local news. Now, Chantal takes us through the international news.
Internationally, we start with the U.S., and it turns out the top choice to replace Biden as a Democratic nominee is likely to be Kamala Harris. Now, the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris rushed to the defense of Joe Biden after his calamitous debate during the debate with Donald Trump late last month. Now, in an interview with CNN, she said there are 3 things that were true yesterday before the debate that are still true today. First, the stakes for this race could not be higher. Second, the contrast in this election could not be more stark. And third, we believe in our President Joe Biden, and we believe in what he stands for. But 1 in 3 Democrats now believe Biden should withdraw from the presidential race, and in spite of her declaration of support, Harris is emerging as the front-runner to replace the 81-year-old should he step aside. The CNN poll published last week shows Harris within striking distance of Trump. In a hypothetical matchup, 47% of registered voters support Trump compared with 45% for Harris. The vice president's numbers center on her broader appeal to women and independents, as well as having been vetted for a national office and intensely scrutinized by the media and Republican Party. There is a degree of momentum building for Harris to replace Biden at the top of the Democratic ticket. There is also notable congressional backing. Away from that, patients and staff flee the Al-Ahli Arab Hospital and Patients' Friends Benevolent Society Hospital after the Israeli military issues another mass evacuation order for parts of Gaza City. Nearly 2 million Palestinians in Gaza are experiencing continuous displacement, with even the sick and injured forced to flee, says a Palestinian Red Crescent Society spokesperson. Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh warns of disastrous repercussions for truce talks if Israeli massacres, killings and displacement in the Gaza Strip continue. The White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby says mediators are trying to close those gaps as best as we can between Hamas and Israel after Egyptian, Israeli, Jordanian and U.S. ceasefire negotiators met in Cairo yesterday. At least 38,193 people have been killed and 87,903 wounded in Israeli war on Gaza since the October 7th, and the death toll in Israel from the Hamas-led attacks is estimated at 1,139, with dozens of people still held captive in Gaza. Now back to Africa, hundreds of Kenyans have attended a concert in the capital, Nairobi, chanting slogans and dancing to commemorate dozens of people killed in recent anti-government protests. At least 39 people were killed in the demonstrations that started on June 18th as protesters pushed for planned tax hikes to be scrapped and resignation of President William Ruto. The government is listening now because of the protests, so we are kind of happy. There is a lot of sadness because so many people died for the government to listen, said activist Boniface Mwangi, who attended the concert. So we're also mourning, and we're telling the families of those who lost their loved ones, we're with you and we shall honor their sacrifice. At the concert of local artists in Uhuru Park, a vast green space in the center of Nairobi, young people held placards reading, "R.I.P. comrades, and we promise we'll keep fighting," while the crowd chanted, "Ruto must go." Others hammered crosses into the ground. Now lastly, matters climate. July 8th and June 2024 was shorter than any June previously on record, leaving people exposed to life-threatening temperatures and more extreme weather, the European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service said yesterday. Copernicus researchers found that temperatures worldwide each month for the last 12 months were 1.5 degrees Celsius greater than the average before the pre-industrial age. The report said temperatures in Europe were higher on average than in the southeast regions. It added countries and regions with the hottest temperatures outside of Europe were Eastern Canada, the Western United States, Western Mexico, Brazil, Northern Siberia, and Middle East, Northern Africa and Western Antarctica. Even if this specific streak of extremes ends at some point, we are bound to see new records being broken as the climate continues to warm. This was said by Carlo Botempo, director of the Copernicus Climate Change Service, according to The Guardian. This is inevitable unless we stop adding greenhouse gases into the atmosphere and the oceans. The report said its reviews of the oceans air temperatures were higher than average and in the Atlantic and Indian Ocean, along with most of the Pacific Ocean. That leads us to the end of our climate and international news.
Well, thank you, Chantal. You did mention that July 8th was shorter than any other day in June. Please clarify on that.
That's what the report said. July 8th to June 2024, this was shorter than any June previously recorded.
Interesting. But actually it makes sense. Yesterday, between the hours of 1 to 4 p.m., I don't know what happened. It seemed like time just flew by. Before I knew it, it was 5 p.m. I didn't get it. Now this makes more sense. I don't know if you also felt like yesterday was short in a way.
No, it didn't. If I have a very busy day, very, very busy, that is when I usually find myself, I have so much to do and time seems to be flying and you're like, I wish I could borrow someone's hours to add on my hours so that, but the good thing still is, I think Ugandans, we must wake up. This issue of thinking we begin work, then we end at a particular time. No, we should begin going 24 hours.
It's not only Ugandans. And for you, as you advocate for 24 hours, there is someone who wonders who decided that the weekend is supposed to start on Friday. Why not on Wednesday?
Only 2 days in the weekend.
Why are they just 2 days of the weekend?
Yes.
But those are questions capitalism will never answer. Jerome Paul, what do you have for us in the dailies?
Well, from the dailies this morning, we start off with what the New Vision is highlighting, and this is heading to the Chibanja loans. Court issues staff rules. Tenants can't mortgage land without landlord's consent. Then there is also pensioners registration kicks off as Uganda protests new 148 billion Mombasa oil terminal charges. Then also tourism, Ugandan Lions hit swimming record as Museveni forms another anti-corruption unit. Read about that in the New Vision. Then lastly, from our press review, the Daily Monitor, cheap Unok oil flows into Kenya tax storm as suspected ADF commander charged and remanded. The Daily Monitor says in the dock. Now, Enanga, police spin master, the police spin master who tickled Ugandans. Read about him. Then Besigye calls out Museveni on corruption. As Rainbow, Kiswahili teachers call for enrollment in primary schools. That is with the Daily Monitor. Today, find details in each of the copies.
Well, thank you, Joram. Now we will take a short break and we will leave you with the inspiration song of the day. We'll be right back. Juma, together with Joram Paul Sonko, Chantal Olive Akandinda in Studio B, and right here is Robert Chirabo Nyonyi Internal. It's a beautiful day and I hope that you are happy. We are ready to give you so many updates regarding so many events that have transpired within the last 24 hours. But before we do that, I would like to check on the dashing Joram Paul Sonko. He looks absolutely smart this morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you. I woke up in the spirit of this saying that even if you're not ready for the day, it cannot always be night. And here we are for a Tuesday. to go again and make different, amends in life and see how far July can take us. But nonetheless, to our dear viewer, thank you very much for joining us. And the shades of yellow, or the yellow dress you're having, I think it should be part of my future madame's wardrobe in the years to come.
All right. But Sonko, you keep telling us about this future madam. I believe that Chantal and I are waiting. We have Ami, Shanana, Gomez's. We are ready. And the gentleman on the team, that is Uncle Ruben. Today we're going to meet Koja Ruben and Koja Chirabo are also waiting. So what's keeping you, Sonko?
There are lots of things that are keeping me waiting. But I do believe when the time is right, the madam will place herself in my, in my face. And then I'll also present that madam to the team for further scrutiny.
Further scrutiny. I like your choice of words. Further scrutiny, because Uncle Ruben is on top when it comes to that. And he told us beauty does not lie in the eyes of the beholder. So you need to keep that in mind. But anyway, Chantal, good morning.
Good morning, Olive. You look dashing the yellow.
Thank you.
And I only wished that I could get a better shot of Sonko. Sonko has a very nice show this morning. He decided to show up. I think when they said dress up and show up, even if you don't want to show up, he really decided to show up this morning. He has a very nice show.
Also, the other thing that worries me, you know what they say about dressing up and a job? They say, dress for the job you want. So are you sure you still want this job?
He might be dressing up for another.
I still want the job. I still want the job. I still want the job.
Okay. That's what we are talking about. Exactly that. But anyway, let me check on Robert. How are you?
I'm fine. You see, I'm speechless. That yellow, you look gorgeous.
In Uganda. Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Junko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja to the town or city near you between July and December this year. Don't miss Uganda's beautiful stories from east to west, north to south in Tuko Pamoja.
Uganda as we see today never had a name. It had the regions that make it.
The battle for protecting the sovereign Uganda was lost in Dokolo.
Uganda, fortunately for us, is a confluence of all these races, the races of Africa.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
The rulers of Bunyoro are actually Luos.
Genetically, we are even similar people.
We are one. Use that word Pamoja.
To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko Pamoja?
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.